And I guess to that end, one of the things that we're trying to do at the Refugee Council is to offer a practical alternative. And we've offered up a 10-point plan for how we could come to a more effective, compassionate process that doesn't involve institutionalised cruelty to people. So I just might quickly run through those. And this goes again to the region. See, both parties in politics at the moment, the policies are predicated on the fact that we expect people to get in a boat and come here. So they wait until they take the risky journey. Whereas logic would tell you, if you wanted to save lives at sea, you'd do something before people take the sea. You know, that crypto-pinko socialist Malcolm Fraser and his gang, after the Vietnam War, when the numbers of people by boat were way higher than they are now, when I would argue Australia was a more xenophobic, less tolerant society than it is now, were able to work with the region, albeit in a different period of time, albeit for people who primarily were Christian, and that may have made a big difference, to work with the region to resettle people from the region, to set up a series of camps that the UN would administer, but with the support of a situation led by Australia, supported by Canada, the United States, the Europeans and New Zealand. They managed to resettle 2.1 million people between 1977 and 1983. Staggering achievement. It had bipartisan consensus to protect people, as opposed to what we have now, bipartisan consensus to punish people who need to be protected. So how do we get back to something like that? I think we're saying a 10-point plan. It's on the Refugee Council's website, but I'll just quickly hit the headlines. Firstly, we need to remove the barriers to existing refugee determination processes. That means in places like Bangladesh, like Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, it's very difficult offer for the UNHCR to deliver the outcomes that people seek. They don't have the funding. You know, the whole budget of the UNHCR in Southeast Asia is $103 million. Its global budget in calendar year 2013 was $3.3 billion. In calendar year 2013, Australia spent $4.4 billion to detain and deter a few thousand people. More than the UN spent. When you factor in the military cost of Operation Sovereign Borders, which is always something I've thought sounds more like something Bruce Willis should star in than a sensible policy. When you factor in the cost of the military intervention to tow back and to stop people at sea, you're looking more in the vicinity of about $8 billion. Malcolm Fraser told me recently he thinks it's 10. The United Nations, with a mandate to protect over 52 million people, over 11 million in camps, spends 3.3. We spend 4.4 or whatever. This year that amount may be a bit less actually in this year's budget because I think they'll have less people to deal with. But it proves in a time of economic belt tightening, this is a moratorium area where money doesn't matter. That money could be applied within the region to our partners, to NGOs and to others to provide the services to people to assist them before they get in a boat. And that would assist the UNHCR process people more effectively. It could create a space and support the NGOs who provide vital services to refugees, i.e. in places like Malaysia and Indonesia, NGOs provide health and education services on a shoestring. With support for that, people would be able to stay, but they would also need point 3, legal permission to stay in a country whilst their refugee status is determined. Now, with Australia and others providing that support, that could happen. 4, we need to develop alternatives to immigration detention. It's a bad model for us to be talking to the region while we incarcerate people and while we dump people back in Indonesia. And it gets in the way of us advocating with countries like Indonesia over important matters affecting Australian citizens. So we need to develop policies which enable refugees and asylum seekers to avoid immigration detention and that rapid release of those who end up being detained. Point 5, enable people to work in the region. They work on the black market anyway, the black economy. They need to be legally able to work and have access, point 6, to basic government services. Point 7, provide refugees with access to what the UN calls durable solutions. And what are they? The durable solutions are: 1, safe return to your country when it's safe to do so. 2 is integration into the countries around your home country. And 3 is resettlement. But resettlement, of all the people in the world that seek resettlement, 1% get resettled. So this notion that there's a queue is ridiculous. What people actually get is a ticket in a lottery when it comes to resettlement. So realistically, we need to be working to assist those other 2 durable solutions, because that's what the majority of people are going to find themselves in that situation. Point 8, to encourage our neighbours to develop national asylum legislation, promoting the ratification of the Refugee Convention across the region, and building regional consistency in asylum processes. There are 10 points. Plus, let's increase the intake. You know, if Australia took the same number of refugees that we took per head of population in the halcyon days of that other crypto-pinko socialist Robert Menzies and his crew, we probably have in advance of 35,000 refugees. At the moment, the government's pegged it back to 13,750. Labor was committed to 20, going out to 25,000. Clearly, we need to take more people than we currently do.